right, hey, greetings. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sweet Loose Special. Today's going to be a little bit different. I want to start off, of course, by saying thank you all for coming in to watch the first week back after a long hiatus of creating videos and content for you guys, and for the tremendous support that we've been getting on the Facebook page. It's been looking great, getting a lot of comments, a lot of support on there, and a lot of back and forth, which has been great. So thank you. I owe it all to you guys. So today's episode, I'm going to be critiquing a video that I ran across on the Occupy Democrats page. And as you guys know, I've criticized Occupy Democrats many, many times, and I'm going to continue to criticize them because I view them as an extreme left-wing organization and Facebook page, and they spew out a lot of bullshit all the time, every day, at least 20 posts about Trump. It never stops. Okay. But this video, it was by a man named Matthew Cooke, and is like titled, what every Republican needs to hear. And so when I watched this, I was appalled by a lot of it because most of it was bullshit, in my opinion. But I'm going to show it to you guys. I want you guys to see this video, and please share your thoughts and opinions about it. And after, I'm going to break it down and give you my point of view about it. So here it is, the video.
This is a message to Republicans. You keep saying that we want free stuff and that the government can't do anything right. So you need an education. The microchip, the internet, GPS, touchscreens, space travel, those are a few examples of world-changing technology that was created by our government or required massive financial support from our government. Now, I paid for that with a third of my money in the form of taxes, but I didn't get a return because all our technology was just given away to private industries, and then it was sold back to us so that someone else could profit. Now, that's what free stuff looks like. Am I supposed to pay money to breathe or have access to water or community or civilization, or is that my natural right being born on the planet? Because that's what economic rights mean. They mean I have a right to participate in the economy without having to be born into the Trump family or some other social predator's bloodline. Now I'm going to teach you another word, democracy. Now wannabe mobsters, they love saying the government's bad at everything. When a government's ruled by the people, it's called our voice. So it's not bad. And you're not going to silence our voice. And whether it's the oil industry or the criminal justice system or the International Monetary Fund or Facebook or Congress or the presidency, if any organization becomes oppressive and unaccountable, that's tyranny. And then when we make them accountable, that's democracy. Now, Republican leadership today, they're against democracy, and they're not even trying to hide it. They're only in power because of an undemocratic electoral college that was created by slaveholders. They're only in power right now because we have an undemocratic institution called the Senate that gives a single resident of Wyoming as much voting power as 68 people in California. Because every state gets 2 senators, doesn't matter how many people live in them. And Republicans love that. They love how millions more Americans vote for Democrats but don't get any representation. Because they love free stuff, just like the founding fathers. Well, guess what? Slavery's over. States are not people. Corporations are not people. Concentrated power and wealth and a master race and master culture, none of that is democracy. And your sacred Constitution is long overdue for a rewrite, as holy of a document as you've been thinking it is, conditionally, of course. Because even the empire-hungry colonists would have been disgusted by your handing over everything, sir, yes, sir, to the lords and ladies of big box stores, oil, and money that Republicans are worshiping today. The American dream made us famous all over the world. We gave people hope. But Republicans love it so much more now that people have the worst chance at making it here than any other rich nation. They prefer the class system, the caste system, extreme inequality, and poverty. Because keeping other people down, the communist, the Mexican, the scary pronoun, whatever word they want to give them, it makes them feel superior, like the old days, scared and demonizing whatever's out in the woods, outside of the colony. It doesn't matter that their lives aren't much better. They're living through the achievements of their gods, icons of money, power, cruelty, and dripping arrogance. And that's why they love a fabric flag more than the human flesh and blood that live and die under it, because they're idol worshippers. And that is exactly what Jesus and Muhammad and Moses told you not to do. How dare you invoke the name of the Almighty and his messengers against the weak, the meek, and the poor? The prophets led movements of the persecuted before they were overtaken by the persecutors, who allied themselves with totalitarians like you're doing now with modern-day Saudi Arabia, all for a dirty oil empire that is soaked in the blood of men, women, and children, and all the creatures of the earth. Now, when Republican leaders say they love they love the freedom of unchecked domination. And their followers, they love the freedom to live out some paranoid revenge fantasy of needing a firearm in case their superiority gets challenged in a Walmart or on some street in Portland. If you're wondering what set me off, I just saw how the right-wing PR machine's uplifting war criminal soldiers, that the Navy condemned and their dear leader pardoned. And I guess some people on the right want these savages to campaign with their master as heroes. And they think a Navy SEAL calling out war crimes is somehow political correctness. Well, my grandfather would disagree with you. This Republican goon squad worships the government when it gives them illegitimate authority over the people. Then they march in lockstep, drunk with their abuse of power. Well, no. You can't have our democracy. You can't make it a great republic for slaveholders and wage slavery. Not again, not now, not ever. We beat you and your masters in the Civil War. We beat you on the beaches of Normandy. We beat you in Birmingham, and we're going to beat you again. Because the truth wins. And you can stand by while all our communications networks get drowned with some Russian psychological warfare. You can redraw all our maps with a Sharpie. You can keep suppressing the voting rights of our Black, Brown, and First Nation brothers and sisters. And go ahead. Keep using the old slave laws to false multiply your votes. Keep tricking all your scared, angry, ignorant old white people into supplication before your orange golden calf. But we're going to beat you. We're going to replace you. And we're going to change the culture. If not this election, then out in the streets. Because you cannot have this land. You cannot have this country. It was never yours in the first place.
Okay. Hey, so what we're going to do is we're going to break this down from top to bottom. Okay. I mean, he starts off with talking about how he pays the government creates these technologies. Okay. Like the microchip, the internet, GPS, what else? Touch screens, space travel. Okay. And he says that he pays his taxes. 1/3 of his money goes for the government to create these technologies. First and foremost, the government doesn't create shit. Okay. The government doesn't create food. The government doesn't create the weapons that we use in war. The government doesn't create the technologies that he listed. You know, instead, it's the private sector. It is the capitalist system that we utilize here in the United States. Okay, the government does not have no government CIA agents that go into a laboratory and try to invent the first microchip. No. This is created by private citizens that are contracted by the government. Yes, are there government funding of these technologies? Absolutely. But he goes off and he mentions that how the government uses his tax money to create these technologies, and then they give it to the industry, and the private sector sells back the technology to the people. All right, let me break down this bullshit for one thing, okay? All right, the microchip, right? The very first thing that he mentions. Was the microchip created by the government? No. As a matter of fact, the very first circuit board that was the very first step to a microchip, technically it was a microchip back then in the 50s, okay? It was created by Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments, you know, the guys that make the calculators that you bring to school? Yes. Created in the 1950s, and that was sold to the Air Force to be utilized in their computers for aviation. So that was the government that created that, huh? Well, all right, let's talk about the internet. Okay, conceived by Nikola Tesla. He believed in the early 1900s that that there would be a world wireless system. Kind of also debatable about if it was a precursor to not GPS but to Wi-Fi. But however, the first schematics for the internet was created by MIT's J.C.K. Licklider, and his belief of an interchangeable network of computers in the 1960s. Now, where the government did get involved into the internet was the creation of the ARPANET, which was funded by the Department of Defense in the 60s, to create a node-to-node messaging from computer to computer. Okay, this was the very first steps. So was that the government that created it, or was it the private sector, or was it the nation that created it? Not the government, but its people that created it. Funded, yes, and that's where I'll give them only credit for. And obviously, the World Wide Web was created in 1990. From there, okay, so this is where he is completely wrong on this part of this technology that was given to back to the private industries and it's sold back to us. Okay, GPS, yes, the patent was owned by the federal government, but then Ronald Reagan had released the patent to the public for everyone to see, for everyone to create their own GPS, to know and use the technologies that they needed to. So be sold back to you. Well, why don't you create your own GPS watch? Can you? Or do you have to rely on capitalism and people that invest their money, capital to create these technologies, to pay workers, to create a design, to put it together? Being sold back to you. Oh, that sounds like a terrible thing. Can you create your own GPS watch? Can you create your own internet? Space travel. The government created space travel? If I remember correctly, the government hasn't created a single rocket that has been used for space travel. All of those rockets that have been used since the 60s, all the way up until now, have been from private sectors, okay? Contracted out, right? So take right now, for instance, SpaceX is creating rockets to be reusable to go into space, right? NASA is buying these rockets, but who's in control of the design? SpaceX, right? Is SpaceX the government? No. Even Boeing is creating space rockets or rockets to go into Mars and and reusable rockets to go in and out of space. Is Boeing a government corporation? Nope, private. I'm pretty confident that they also build the airplanes that jets and especially the C-17, C-130, for the United States Air Force and the other aircraft. But I thought the government created these. No, that's a bunch of bullshit, right? And again, if you think that it's unfair that these private industries are holding on to patents that they created, like rockets, touchscreens, what else we got? And the microchips. There's like so many patents for the microchip. It's ridiculous. There's different kinds of microchips. I think I read it was like 60,000. Don't quote me for sure on the number of how many patents there are for microchips, but are those all owned by the government? Were they designed by the government? No, not at all. Right? And so he goes on to say about you have the freedom to participate, in the economy, right? And it's like, oh, it's not free or some shit that he was saying. So, like, here it is. You do have the right to participate in the economy, to purchase goods and services that you are not able to provide for yourself, or you can sell goods and services to others that can't provide those goods and services for themselves or just don't want to. That's what a free market is. That's what our entire economy is all about. Now, do we really want government to be 100% in charge of that? See, they say that, and he mentions in the video about like, oh, we don't want government and big government and stuff like that, and he's basically implying that government is in charge because government is the people. Very socialist view about it, right? Which I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't be opposed to government ownership of private property or private corporations and businesses, stuff like that. Then he goes off on the big one about democracy. Democracy. Let me explain democracy. Here's another word for you, democracy. Right? Well, yeah, let's explain. Let's talk about democracy. Is the United States a democracy? It's a republic. It's a constitutional republic, for one thing. You see, in a democracy, in a real true democracy, everyone has equal power, equal rights, equal votes, right? In their vote, in their say so. Which, yes, we do have that here in the United States, absolutely. We all have the equal rights that are given to us in the Constitution, unalienable rights that is explained in the Declaration of Independence. We all have that, absolutely. But however, what makes us different than what a true democracy really is that if there's 10 people and one person and like 9 people want that one person's bicycle or want that one person's money, Then they say, oh, hey, 9 of us want your stuff. You have to give it to us because we are the majority. That's not how it works here in the United States. We are a republic, okay? We believe in checks and balances. We believe in protection of the minority from the majority and vice versa, okay? That's how our government works. We are a constitutional republic. Now, you mentioned something about government bad at everything. No, the government's not bad at everything. What do I believe the government's role should be? My belief is this, is that when you're getting fucked over by the system, or anyone getting screwed over by the system, that I believe it's government's role to intervene to right those wrongs in a timely manner. So, let's say if there's a local government issue of you're being wrongfully accused of something, or let's say that you're being like a local government's refusing to allow you to speak in public places. Big government should come in and be like, no, you're going to let that person speak in public because that is their right. That's just an example. That's what I believe government's role is. What I got as the interpretation from what he's trying to say is that when he says that, like, oh, government's bad at everything, but the people are the voice. The people are the government. Yes, that's true. But then there's a lot of things the government's bad at. Do you really want the government coming in and telling you how to raise your children? Do you really want government coming in and telling you what jobs you can or cannot have, what you can and cannot learn in school, what school you can and can't go to? Come on. I mean, there's plenty of things, and then everyone's going to say on the left that, oh, but the government created the war, started wars all over the world. Oh, but they say but that's the people, the voice of the people, right? Come on. Government shouldn't be involved in 100% of our lives. Okay. Next thing that he goes off and he's talking about the Electoral College, how it's undemocratic. And again, here we go using that the democracy, undemocratic. That each state determines, for one thing, is that each state determines their electoral votes, okay? So is that really undemocratic? So it breaks down to this. Each state uses the majority vote in a democratic way to declare and dictate how their electoral votes are going to be used and, cast during general elections or, general elections for the president. So, for instance, California has this majority law. So if the majority of people vote for one candidate, all the electoral votes have to go to that one candidate. It's not necessarily the same kind of voting system in Iowa or in Texas. Each state is different. So is that really undemocratic? But hey, California has the most, and New York and California have like the most electoral votes. So how is that not fair? All right. Again, like I said, we are a republic, and so it is to protect the minority from the majority. Okay. Now, okay. So this is how I believe, and this is how I feel about this entire thing. When it comes to the Electoral College, all right, everyone on the left is saying, oh, we need to get rid of the Electoral College, especially after Trump won this election, not the popular vote. But hey, when President Obama had won the Electoral College both times, no one was throwing a fit. But you see, he goes off later and he starts to explain this about how some states are so small in population, like Wyoming, that they get, I believe, 3 electoral votes. See, again, this checks and balances but do we, just because California has 30 million plus people, that they get to dictate how life is in Wyoming and how the vote is in Wyoming? No, because we are the United States of America. We are not the California and New York states of America. People still have the equal rights and equal representation in Wyoming as they do in California. Okay. And so one thing that, and another one that he brings up that gets really annoying is about how the Senate is this undemocratic process. It's not right how the Senate is made up because, every state has 2 senators regardless of the population. Well, the House obviously is not like that. The House of Representatives has a number of representatives from each state based off the population of that state. And the districts are spread apart, So California, New York, high populated states have more representatives in the House. However, each state is its own sovereign state in a way that they are able to make their own laws, enforce their own laws without the federal government having to come in. It's this big checks and balances between state governments and federal governments. So, we don't give Wyoming any senators? I don't know what he wants. Like, should all the senators just be from California and New York and New Jersey? I don't get what in Texas, and that's it. And so, like, all the other states, like, whatever, they don't get any representation. And no, that's not how it works. Okay. To me, it's just astonishing about like all the shit that this guy is saying. All right. I mean, I hope you guys agree with me on this shit because this is just so obscene. Another thing that I found upsetting about this entire video was his explanation on the Constitution and how he says that it's our holy document, right? Well, let me say this. The Constitution is the foundation of the United States and of our republic, okay? And he says that it needs to be redone. It needs to be rewritten, basically, is what he's saying. His words needs to be redone. But which part of that Constitution needs to be redone, Mr. Cooke? Is it the first, maybe 4th, 5th, 13th, or 19th Amendment? Or is it only the parts that you disagree with? Is the entire thing out of date? A lot of people on the left say that the Constitution needs to be rewritten, needs to be redone. And what they're really saying is that, they just want to get out of the Second Amendment. That's what they mean. Okay? That they didn't mean muskets. Or they only meant muskets and not semi-automatic rifles. And blah, blah, blah. Get the hell out of here. You want to rewrite the Constitution? What? You want to get rid of women's right to vote? You want to get, Constitution protects from slavery in the 13th Amendment. You want to get rid of that? What about the 4th, huh? 5th Amendment? Come on. No, I think that's what he means. He wants to get rid of all of it. Maybe. Of how absurd the rest of this is. He wants to make sure that, we rewrite out of, freedom of speech and freedom of religion out of the Constitution, out of the rights of the people, of the American people. Okay? And then he goes off talking about empire-hungry colonists, talking about our forefathers. In the revolution, they were empire-hungry. They were fighting against the King of England, against the British Empire, but we were the empire-hungry colonists. That doesn't make any damn sense at all. Pull your head out of your ass, man. Come on. Now, and one thing, of course, if you're a veteran out there, his left-hand salute, if that doesn't give you a sign of disrespect to you, like the American people, then I don't know what the hell else will, because that is just insane. I mean, that when you're from the military or when you're a veteran, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, let's say this. Now, Republicans have made the U.S. A worse place to make it, is what he says, than any other rich nation in the world. That the United States is more difficult to make it big than any other rich nation in the world, is what he says. All right, so let's break this down, Mr. Cooke, because I looked this up. According to Business Insider, I took the top 3 richest nations in the world, which is going to be the United States as number 1, of course, China at number 2, Japan number 3. Okay, so for the United States, the adult population is 245 million people. That's adults, okay? The median income is about $65,000. Not too bad. Number of millionaires in the United States is 18,614,000. roughly you have a 7% chance of running into a millionaire in the United States, into an adult millionaire in the United States, that is, well, millionaire period, out of adults. 7% chance. Doesn't seem like much. You think, he's no, still, oh, but it's the 1%, you know? Well, let's break this down. China at number 2, right? 1.09 billion adults in the country, median income of $20,942. That's pretty low. However, here's the number of millionaires is 4,447,000. Roughly 0.4% of the nation millionaires. 0.4. And that's supposed to be the second richest nation in the world. Is that more difficult? You think you got a higher chance of becoming a millionaire and succeeding if that's how you want to define success, is by becoming a millionaire? Better chance in China or in the United States? Well, hey, I also mentioned Japan. Japan's not a communist country, very wealthy, right? You got a lot of people there, make technology, very smart. Japan, 105 million adults in the country. Median income of $110,408. That's pretty high. That's almost double than what the median income is in the United States of America. However, 3,025,000 people in Japan are millionaires. 2%. 2%. That means your chances are still higher to become a millionaire. Again, if that's how you want to define success, and making it in the United States as a rich country, and that's your chances. 2%. So again, where is this facts that he's saying, Republicans are making it more difficult for people to make it in the United States? Again, these are the numbers and this is the truth. You have a higher chance and better chance of succeeding in this country and becoming rich, a millionaire. Again, that's if how you want to define success, than any other country in the world. Any other. So boom. What other bullshit is he trying to spread to you? What else is he trying to tell you? So is this the inequality that he mentions? Is this the caste system that he brings up? One thing that really upset me, the love of our flag. He is comparing the love that we as Americans have to Old Glory as idol worshiping. Idol worshiping. That we care more about a flag than we do our fellow Americans. That's not true. That flag represents all of our fellow Americans. It represents everyone in this country. I can't just go around and put faces of every single person in America up on the wall and pledge allegiance to them, because that's what the flag is for. The flag is a representation of everyone in this country. The hardship of everything that we've gone through. From the civil rights to World War II, the Civil War, abolishing of slavery. The flag is not idol worshiping, is putting that flag above God by any means. It is giving our respect to each other. Is bringing us all together in unity and for a common goal. That's what the flag means. And if you got a representation or an idea that the flag means anything different, I'm sorry about that. Everyone has a different interpretation about it. But to me, that's what it means. It is a representation of all of us, of all that's good, of all the hard work. It's not about color of the skin. It's not about what titles you give yourself, what group you belong to. It's about the American people. That's what it's about. Idol worshiping. Get the hell out of here, man. Saying also we love unchecked domination. We love the freedom of not being checked upon so that we can dominate over everyone. No, what we love is the government not being involved in 100% of our lives. That we love the freedom of the individual citizen being able to make the decisions for themselves, to exercise their rights without the government getting involved in all of it. You don't have to. Believe in personal responsibility. But that's the problem of this of society today, especially the left. Mostly everyone, really. A lot of people. It's just our society is. We want to blame everyone else. We want to point the finger. Take some personal responsibility. Take some ownership. You fuck up, man, you fucked up. That's okay. We all learn. We all screw up. But take ownership. That's what we believe in. Firearms. Firearm carry brings up the Second Amendment, of course, because this is a very popular one. All right, because we want to carry firearms because we feel that our superiority is threatened. No, we believe that it is our right, for one thing, and is that if someone wants to come and hurt us, hurt our family, hurt our friends, we want to be able to protect ourselves. It is in the Constitution that we have the right to bear arms. Again, it goes back to what he was saying about rewriting of the Constitution. No, what he means is that he just wants the Second Amendment expelled out of there. Amended, I should say, out of the Constitution. We don't feel that our superiority is being challenged when we walk into a Walmart. No, we want to be able to protect ourselves. We don't want to have the victim mentality. If someone comes up to try to harm us, harm our loved ones and friends, we'll end it because we have a responsibility to police our communities. But the American people don't want to do that. We all want to give off our rights and give off our responsibility to the government so that they could do it for us. It doesn't have to be like that. We do have the right to protect ourselves. We have the right to police our communities. We have the right to be involved in our communities in a positive way. Absolutely. And that you don't know what Joe Blow is going to do. How some guy was raised by a bad family, going to rob you, going to stab you, hurt. I mean, like, look at the other countries. You think that by getting rid of guns, it's just murder and death is just going to disappear? It's not. You can either think like a victim, or you can think like the wolf, or the sheepdog, however you want to, use it as a metaphor. I guess the sheepdog would be the protector, right? So, and that's just what we don't believe. We don't want to be a victim. And it's a bad thing to be teaching. It's okay to be a victim. It's okay. No, it's not okay. Because, someone took advantage of you. Someone hurt you. Someone harmed you. And they're, you need to be able to protect yourself. And, justice needs to happen. It sucks. But, don't make yourself vulnerable. You don't have to make yourself vulnerable. You don't have to be the victim. And, that's what we need to give off, teach to our future generations. The Navy, Eddie Gallagher, he brought up. War crimes. What? He took a picture with the dead body? Bro, early 2000s, we killed Saddam's sons, and we posted pictures of it all throughout the mainstream media for everyone in the nation to see, in the world. Hey, we killed Saddam's sons. Here's the pictures. Ha! That was okay, but this guy taking a picture with an ISIS militant dead? Dude, come on. You send this man over and you train him to kill. And then you want to say, oh, this is a war crime because he took a picture. No, let me explain what the Navy did as well during this entire process. All right, they kept him in the brig and didn't allow him to see an attorney during his entire court-martial. That's when the president had to intervene and said, hey, yeah, you have to get him out of the brig so he can see an attorney and talk to someone as his representation in, a court, in the court-martial. And he wasn't pardoned from it. He just had his due process. He had his right to see an attorney, and he did. And then the Navy prosecutors, and actually given full immunity to the man that went up there on the bench and was going to testify and said, I did it, not him. It was me that stabbed him while he was wounded, not Eddie Gallagher. So that's why he was found not guilty. He wasn't pardoned from the president from that. He was still found guilty on other charges too. Know your facts. And I love it. Brings up again, oh, but my grandfather, he wouldn't have liked it. I love this from the Dems. You even saw this during the impeachment trial. Oh, my grandfather wouldn't have liked. My grandfather served in this. My grandfather, motherfucker. But did you? You think we were short on wars the past 20 years? Wait, you didn't have an opportunity to join? Don't go off and start talking about like you know this shit of what goes on with Eddie Gallagher and the Navy when you haven't even been in the military at all, don't even know the system, never even been over there in the combat zone. Don't fucking pretend, man. This is what annoys me. Now, wants to go off and say that Republicans are the oppressors. That we say that the government does, can't do anything right. And so by saying that, we're saying that the people can't say anything right, can't do anything right either. That's not the case. Who's the real oppressors here? Because he implies that we're going to be complaining about free stuff. Yeah, we're complaining about that. We don't want handouts handed out like candy. We don't want our tax dollars to be spit out of proportion when it shouldn't be. Reckless spending here and there, which happens on both sides. Yeah, granted, but we're trying to limit that. Okay? If I give you handouts, if I say, hey, here's income, here's $2,000 a month, you can just sit on your ass, you don't have to do anything. You think that's someone's going to have a higher chance of staying in the system, receiving the government handouts, the government food, the government money, government check, government education? If the government gives everyone a free education, what's going to say that someone's going to stay in school for 10 years? I'm just going to change my major. I don't know what I want. Just reckless spending is not my money, so I can just change from my major. I can just go from this, I can just stay in school. I'm still getting that paycheck, that butter. Get the hell out of here. Because that's going to be spending more tax dollars for someone that's can't even make up their damn mind on what they want to learn. Okay, if the government continues giving handouts, it's suppressing them. It's giving the idea that you don't have to be better. You don't have to get smarter. You don't have to work harder because the government daddy's going to be here to give you that check. That's the real oppression. Not giving you any incentive to rise up and be better than you were the day before. Not giving you any incentive to be smarter, to be a better person, to be a better contributor to society. No, not if we continue getting that government bread. So if the Democrats, what they believe is that if they keep giving you this, is going to keep you on their side. They're not going to vote for anyone else. Why? Because they're getting that government money. They're getting that government free education. They're getting that government stuff because, of course, they're going to vote for us. Yeah, but they don't have to be better. They're not getting smarter because there's no incentive. They're not going to topple us. They're not going to take the power away from the Democrats because why? They're just sitting on their couch. They're getting money, smoking weed, playing fucking video games all day, eating that KFC and shit. That's how they get you. That's who the real oppressors are. Is it wrong to think that Republicans want people to work? That's the mindset that we have because we want everyone to be proud of their work. Because one thing that Americans lead the entire world on is pride in our work, pride in what we do, pride in what we provide for our families. What do you think that if I get a product made in China or for a product made in the United States, what do you think is going to be a higher quality? It's been proven that, American made goods over there in Asia, when they see it's made in America, they know that it's top-notch shit because Americans take pride in their work. Always has been like that. And you could tell that, products that are made here in comparison to products that are made overseas. All right. And one thing, last part that he brings up, which I think is just completely hilarious, that he uses this as an analogy. He's saying that, oh, we beat you in the Civil War. We beat you on the beaches of Normandy and in Birmingham, and we'll beat you again. Who the fuck is he talking about? Beat who? The Republicans? All right, you beat the Republicans in the Civil War, motherfucker. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican Huh. You know? And who do you think had more slaves? I think it was Southern Democrats, right? Oh, but then people will say, oh, but the Democrats and Republicans in the 1800s were a different party. They kind of, switch names, views and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he also brings up the beaches of Normandy. So he's implying that fascists or Nazis are right-wing extremists or right-wing Republicans, or, making that comparison between Nazis and Republicans. All right. Well, let's take a look at that here. What was the Nazis called? It was called the National Socialist Workers Party. Is there Republican socialists? No, but there are Democratic socialists. This was just less than 100 years ago, right? Well, when the parties aligned into what they are today, right? So even Snopes agrees that and points out that the National Socialist Workers Party, which are the Nazis, fascists, were left-wing socialists. Yes, they were left-wing extremists. And so again, we beat the Republicans there. Oh, that's fucking weird how that works. No, we beat the idea of what you guys are trying to instill into the American government. Now, you guys are trying to be the socialist, shit, and like government ownership of private property and all that other shit. We're trying to beat you. That's what we fought against on the beaches of Normandy. Last part, Birmingham, right? What is he implying? That it was the Republicans and it was right-wingers. That was, segregating the South. He's implying the entire situation of when JFK had to use the military or threatened to use the military intervention into Alabama to end segregation in the South, or especially in the state of Alabama, which the governor, George Wallace, what was he? Oh, yes, George Wallace was a Democrat in the 60s, and he opposed desegregation. So again, I'm really confused on where this analogy of Republicans that you guys fought in the Civil War on the beaches of Normandy and in Birmingham, because the way I see it, in my research, if you just take 5 to 10 minutes out of your time, anyone can figure this out, that it was left-wingers and the Democrats that were the bad guys in all those situations, right? So there it is, folks. The bullshit of this video, it really boiled my blood when I watched this. Again, please share your ideas and comments about what you think. If you think I'm full of shit, if you agree, disagree, it'd be great to know. Get that conversation started, because that's what the Sweet Loose Special is all about. Okay, and to end off this episode, I just want to say, please follow me on Facebook at the Sweet Loose Special. Catch me on Twitter at SweetLou8. Information will be in the description. You can follow me on YouTube as well. It's Sweet Lou Special. I am on Spotify now. Find these podcasts here on there. Again, look up the Sweet Lou Special. iTunes is coming up soon. I'm going to be uploading these once they approve my application, and I'll be on there. So again, those are all the outlets you get to see me. Again, I'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so catch me then. Okay. Thank you. And also another thing is that feel free to get on the page, send me questions. If you guys have any questions, I'll take some time to answer some of you guys' questions. I'd love to get in part of it. As you guys know, there's some, left wing, right wing, whatever your views are, I'll respect it. And as long as you come in a respectful manner, we'll address it and I'll give you my opinion on it, because, I like to learn both sides. Conversation is what makes us smarter. It makes us better. Even conversation in a civil way with someone that you disagree with. I believe we can all grow and learn from that. Thank you guys again. Have a great week. Happy Valentine's Day, and God bless.